All right, in your kit, you're going to find several bags and then some loose parts, everything you need to put your robot together. So first thing you're going to have is a set of battery holders. So all going to be pre-wired with the switch. You have the motor mount. You're going to have the breadboard. You're going to have everything you need to put your Arduino microcontroller in. So you have a carrier board, you have the hardware for the carrier board, and you have the Arduino itself. Obviously, this is the body of the robot. You're going to have all the holes are in there for you already, so you don't have to do any of that. You have the ball caster, and then you have the components for the wheels. So the wheels come like this. You have to stretch those over. You'll see how that goes on there later. The two servos for that. And then finally you have the head with, we've already pre-installed the sensor for you. These screws are very tiny, so they're hard to get in there, and you need a 0-0 screwdriver to do so. So we've already done that for you, but everything else goes together with a #1 screwdriver. This is the servo for the neck on there, and then lastly you have 2 cables. So this is the cable for the sensor on the head, and this is the power cable inside. You'll see how all that goes together when we go into the assembly portion of the video. All right, for this part you're going to need the 2 servos. The 2 wheel servos are going to be blue for this. It's always going to be a different color, but this particular one, they're going to be blue. You may have a different color when you get yours. And the 2 sets of wheels. So we're just going to go ahead and pull all of this stuff out of the bag, and you'll see how we put those together. All right, one other thing you want to get is a #1 screwdriver. So if we got that stuff out of the bag, we're going to save. You're going to have a lot of servo horns in there. We're going to set these aside for other projects. We're not going to use it in the robot. So you can go ahead and set these bags aside. Pull out the screws from the bags though. So you're going to have 2 in each bag. You're going to have 2 pointy ones and 1 stubby screw. So in all, you're going to pull out of the bags 6 screws. It's going to be 4 sharp ones, 2 stubby ones. Set those aside. We're going to use those 2 stubby ones for putting this together. The short pointy ones are going to be used when we attach the motors to the body of the robot itself. So you're gonna go ahead and stretch the rubber tires over the wheels like so. Right? Make sure that's seated nice. Do that 2 times. And it's a little tricky to get these on because they're gonna want to slide off, but you get the idea there. Now, there's one side that has a lot of little teeth in it. There's one side that doesn't have teeth in it. So we're going to take the teeth and we're going to put them over the splines on your servos. It doesn't matter the orientation, just that those teeth are going over the splines, because obviously this is going to be continuous rotation. Don't do that too much because it'll mess with the motors inside. But that's what you're going to have there. You're going to take the stubby screw and you're going to use that to secure your wheel. Just hold on to the wheel and there you go. Do that again with the other one. Now that we've got that all set, we're going to put these aside for now and go to the next part of this. All right, go ahead and pull out your base, the chassis of the robot. You're going to flip it over so that the inside, so this is the inside with the seal, you're going to flip it over this way. You're going to get your motor mount. So this is what it looks like. Yours might be a different color. So you're going to take one of your motors. You'll put it in just like, sorry, wrong way. You'll put it in just like this so that the wires come out the same way that these tabs are facing here. And you're going to do the same with the other one. So they're going to be opposite each other. So see both wires. Here you have the tabs. It'll be just like that. The short tabs wires. So we're going to place that down onto here, or if it's easier, because the motors are going to fall out, you can flip this onto there so that the wheels come through. And we're going to grab a screw, one of the pointy screws. There should be some holes already. You'll see them through your motor mount. You're going to put these in and they'll be threaded, so it'll be easy to screw those in. But you see I haven't screwed it all the way down. Repeat again with a second one. And we're doing this, we're leaving it loose on the slotted side to make it easier to put the screws in on this side. These screws are not slotted, and they're going to locate, or they're going to set the position of your motor mount so that the wheels stay in the middle of the wheel slots. So do this again, and on this side we're going to go ahead and screw those into the tabs on the back side. The tabs there will also be threaded. And at this point you can start tightening these up. So this next screw that I put in, this can be tightened down, tighten down, tighten down, and tighten down. Be careful when you're tightening it down. Don't use excessive force. You'll know when the screw's all the way down. It is plastic, so you can strip that hole if you're not careful. But you'll see that once you have that in the correct position, this will turn freely. And there you go. Next part, we're going to put the ball caster in there. So before you do, go ahead and thread your wires through. You should be able to. You should have enough space there, as you can see, to just push one at a time. Push the connectors through. You'll see that it goes through pretty easy. The holes are pretty wide there, and so you're going to wind up with an assembly like this. All right, so let's get the ball caster now. All right, for this next part, we're going to go ahead and pull the ball caster parts out of there. There's only one bag involved in this part, so everything's going to be in there. You're going to have your tree with all of your parts. You're going to use all of those components. So you have your hardware in there, kind of like the bag that you use. You're going to use for the microcontroller. Hardware is in a separate bag, and this bearing, which is the ball in the ball caster, is off by itself so that it doesn't get any scratches or anything on it. And so let's pull everything out of the bag. And all right, I'm gonna warn you, be careful, because that is a ball and it will roll away if you're on a super flat surface. We're going to have to pull everything off of this plastic tree. You can wiggle everything back and forth, or you can use something like a wire cutter to liberate these from here. Be careful, do not lose these. We're going to use these as well. So actually we're going to use every bit of this. So so be careful with all of that. So let's go ahead and get all these parts off of this plastic tree. We're in a hurry, so we're going to use the editing method. So there you go. Now, okay, let's move this out of the way a little bit. So now, the way this goes together, and we're going to use the tall part of this. So you can see there's kind of threads in there already. Well, not threads, but it's narrow so that when you screw everything together, it goes into the. There's some instructions and everything on how to put this whole thing together. But you're going to see that there are in there. You're going to have sections where the pins or the pin bearings are actually going to go into. So let's go ahead and separate those out. So we'll bring our pin bearings. So you have the 3 pin bearings there, and then we're going to have the 3 screws that hold those 2 sections together. So the ball cage is going to be held together by that. So we're going to go ahead and drop the flat, the one with the flat on there. We're going to drop that down on there, and you'll see that it slides into a slot. There's a depression there. These little standoffs are going to slide right into that, so you'll know when it's nice and secure. All right, so on here you're going to want to add these pin bearings, and if you need to, you can use tweezers to get that in there, but you can still get it in there with your bare hands. So if you hold it like this, it'll slide down in there like that. So I'll show you how I do it with the tweezers. Might be a little easier, I don't know. But here's, oh, I just lost one. So here's the next one going in. And, oh, yeah, that could have been ugly. Oh, it's not going to cooperate with me now. So I'll put this one in with the tweezer, and then I'll go back to the other one. Oh man, you know what? Back up, because need to get the ball in there first. Sorry. All right, that's why I'm having a hard time with the ball in there. It goes everything. Sorry about that. That's why we have video, so we can catch all the mistakes. Okay, that's how they go in there. So ball goes in there. This is the deep one. Ball goes in there. The pin bearings go in there. The flat part, again, because we already have seen how it goes into the other structure. You want the flat part down on here, and you'll see that there's slots there that accept those parts. So you're just gonna land that on top of there, and then you're gonna recreate the scene again. These go into the short ones, like so. Okay, good. All right, hold it together. Hold it together. You're gonna take the screws. You're gonna see they're slightly different. This screw has teeth. This screw has regular threads. So this is for plastic. This is for metal. So we're gonna use the plastic screws. And there's, in case you get confused, there's 4 of these because they go along with these nuts. And there's 3 of these because they're the ones that screw into this portion here. Now, when you put this together, put pressure against this and then screw down into the table. What I'm going to show you, I'm going to hold it up here so you can see where these screws are going. And so you're going to go into that one right there. And it's going to take a little bit of force to get these in because they're cutting threads as you're screwing it in. And like so. And just do all 3. And now your ball caster is done. See how fast that spins. So there you go. Ball caster is done. These spacers and these screws. Next part, we're going to add this ball caster into the chassis assembly. All right, now we're going to bring back our chassis. We've already installed the wheels. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the spacers, little spacers that we're going to be careful with. We're going to put those, drop those spacers on there. Get them pretty close there. Get them over the holes. I don't know. There's a lot of ways to do this, but I found that for me, this has been the easiest way for me to get that on there. So just pick one of the points to face forward. So this is the front of your robot. Face that forward and just put the screwdriver through the holes to line everybody up. And so I just pick up the screws like so, hold it at the tip of the screwdriver, and holding this down, I try to make it all the way through. And so just repeat that a couple more times. Again, you may find an easier way to do this. I have not at this point, so definitely send your ideas in for that. And so I just hold the screw and wiggle it around till it goes all the way through. And you can see if your spacer's not lined up, and I just kind of do that. Now, this is going to be the tricky part. If you have somebody that can help you, that's cool. If not, what I do is I twist this a little bit, and that kind of holds the screws in place. There's not too many. Again, if you have a better idea of how to do this, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put those nuts on the back side of the screws. And again, none of this, so what I'm doing is I'm holding this against, or I'm putting pressure on this side so the screws don't slide back through on their own. And that seems to hold it. Once you get the nuts on the inside of that, it's in there. So now I just put a put the screwdriver on the back side here, kind of put light pressure on this side, and that'll allow you to screw that down. So just line this side up with that edge there. So you'll see that edge go all the way across. Just give it a little twist. Now this will help when the robot is rolling forward to have that centered and turned around and aligned the right way. It'll help it stay straight. But you'll find that you'll be able to adjust that in the software. So now if you have pliers, this will also help you to get these tightened down. And so if you have pliers, you can do this with it and get that tightened down. And so once you have that, we'll move on to adding the carrier for the Arduino. All right, for this part, we're going to use the 3 microcontroller bags. This is what they look like. You have your carrier board, your hardware, and your on the ESD foam, as you can see, to protect it. So let's go ahead and pull those out of the bag. This one is going to be easier than the ball caster, I promise you. So what we're going to do is we're going to add we're going to go ahead and add the standoffs to the carrier board. So it's just as easy as I did that pretty quick, so I'll do another one close up for you. So I'm holding it same way. Put the screw through. Hold it with my forefinger, and then I twist on get the thread started, twist on as at the same time I'm screwing it in. So we'll do that another 2 times. Oh, make sure you're putting them on the back side. I was just about to make a mistake because I'm going fast. So put that on. We got one more to do. Put through. Twist on. You should be left. Once you do this, you should have 4 standoffs coming out of the bottom of the board. Headers are on the top. That's how you know that's at the top. You can also read on here, Trek Pack for Arduino. On the back, you're going to have a whole bunch of additional information, so you know, okay, that's the back, that's the front. You're going to have 4 screws left over. You're going to see how we're going to use those next. And then to insert the Arduino into the board, so you're going to look for, you see TX right there. You're going to look for TX on your board. You're going to have TX right there. VN, which is voltage or your power in. So you're going to match that up with this. You're going to make sure that all these pins are aligned. Right, so all the pins are aligned with the header. And you're going to apply even pressure all the way across, and it will slide in. So I'm going to do this. If you have to take this out, just rock it back and forth. And be careful, because at the end, if you pull it this way, it will bend the pin as it's coming out. So I'm just going to, again, line this up. And I'm going to show you how easy this is. We're going to apply equal pressure. And it should just slide in just like that. Again, verify again. D3, D13, D13, right? TX, TX. That's going to be really important, because if you apply pressure, power to this, and this is in the wrong orientation, es no bueno. You don't want the stuff that's going to happen with that. So now this is ready to go onto the chassis. And now we're gonna bring the chassis back. We're gonna go ahead and line this up. So when you're programming this guy, the cover is gonna come off this way and sit beside it here. So that will give you access to the to add the USB cable here. So you want the USB connector facing that way, right? So you're gonna hold this like so, and then you're gonna flip it over. So now you see why the spacers also keep these screws from hitting the bottom of this board. So that's also really important. So if you see one of these screws sticking really far out, check to make sure the spacers made it in there. So you can see right there that the spacers are in there. Again, I know that one's difficult. So here we go. Cables are on that side. Goes in here. Flipping it over, and now we just line up, and we can line up a couple of the corners. And again, you should use the technique. Put it through the hole there, get one corner, leave it a little loose, get the opposite corner in there, and now we do the remaining two corners. All right, haven't tightened anything down yet until that last screw. And if the laser did its job, all the holes line up. Typically leave the last screw as one of the ones being on the outside to make it easier as I'm putting this in, because I'm putting one in that is by the wheel. So if I have to wiggle stuff around, it'll make it harder to do that. But you can see everything lined up nicely. So I'm just going to go ahead and tighten that one down. And so I'm sorry, I went slightly off camera there. So one of the things that you can do as well, when you're putting these in, is if you back the screw out a couple threads and you hear it click, and then you screw it back down, you have less of a chance of cross threading the screws, which is damaging. When you screw in the screw slightly off angle, it can damage the threads. But you can see how all that went together. There's plenty of gap between the pins and the screws. Good, all good. So now ready for the next phase of this, and we'll show you how the breadboard goes in. Once the breadboard goes in, the bottom part, the chassis of your robot, is done. So let's get that breadboard. Okay, I know it's only been a second for you, but it's been several hours for me, as I have a mess here and can't find anything. So I've been looking for this breadboard. This is a very important part of your robot, as it will let you add components to your robot, and you'll be able to expand the capabilities of the robot. Components can be plugged into here. If you've used a breadboard before, you know. If you don't know, this will be a cool experience for you, as you're going to learn a little bit more about electronics. Your breadboard may not have the same markings, but it will have these same two jumpers on it. These jumpers are important for transferring battery power to this side, so that we can expand how many components we can plug in. So all the motor and the onboard processor, the Arduino, is going to plug into here. This is going to be additional, the additional component for the servo that's going to move your electronics or your ultrasonic sensor on the head. So go ahead and peel back the backing. Your backing may be white or a different color depending. Sometimes I use an X-Acto to grab the corner and peel that back. Be careful if you're using these. This is very sharp, and putting your fingers near it is can be dangerous. So, let your parent or guardian help you with that if you are of that age. But yeah, just get the corner loose, and then you can peel that off. So these are adhesive. Once you put this down, it's going to be hard to take it off. So this next part is very important. So you're going to go here just ahead of your screws. So you're going to see the screws for the motor mount there. That's going to help you locate where you're going to drop this board. So it's going to be right ahead of those two screws and exactly between and we're going to turn it sideways here so it'll be easier, because I am holding it with one hand and trying to position this with the other. So you're going to go right ahead of those screws, not covering the screws, but right in front of the screws, and exactly between the two wheels, or as close as you can get to exactly between the two wheels. That'll give you some clearance here. Later projects are going to have sensors that are going to take advantage of those holes to track how many rotations you have and things like that. So you want to leave this space clear and make it as even as possible. And then, yeah, give yourself about 1 millimeter ahead of the screws. And once you have that like that, you're gonna press this. Use the motor mount as the back to brace it. Push it down. Get that nice and get that adhesive backing. Push all the air out of there. Make it nice, and this will be nice and solid as you're moving the rest of your projects around. So now you can go ahead and you'll see how these plug in. So red with red, black with black. We're gonna go ahead and plug in your motors. So use the last two spots on there. These first two are going to be one microcontroller, and the other one's going to be the battery. So go ahead and use the last two spots on these columns for your motors. And then later on, we're going to show you which pins to go into here. So we're going to use 9, 10, and 11 for the servos, but we'll see how that goes in later. And your chassis is basically done. You can see how nicely this rolls, and it's very stable. All right, now on to the rest of the body here. Okay, so we used a different trick to get these out of the bag, but you can see here the sensor head, and I'm going to show you a little trick to get this on there. The teeny tiny screws have been installed. These are like 0 Phillips screws, so I've had those installed already for you so that you don't have trouble with that. But the rest of this will have to be installed. We've liberated the servo as well as the 3 screws, same as we did with the wheel servos. Save those. We've already used one of the servo horns, so you don't have to worry about that. But you will need the screws the same as the other one. So what you're going to do is you're going to put the head onto the spline and turn it carefully all the way to one side. Wow, we hit it on the first shot. This is what you should see. So what that's going to do for you is, and then check going the other way. Oh, that's pretty far. So what we're going to do is, see how that's far? We're going to move it over one step. So the splines, we're going to wiggle it off, and we're going to move it over one step so we can see if we can get it one step over. And so what we want to do is we want to center this as much as we can. And I think that probably that was the best spot to have it in. Yeah, we'll put it back and we'll walk it over one. And in software, we'll adjust the center position for that. That's as close as we're going to get. The idea is that when it's traveling to the center, that will be your center position there. And you want to have the eyes or the ultrasonic transducers facing the same way as the wires facing. So it'll be the side with the short side of the servo here, not the long side. So you want that those facing that way. So we're going to take and screw in with the stubby screw again, same as we did with the wheels. We're going to grab the stubby screw. We're going to do the trick, and then we're going to put the screw in through the servo horn, and you should just have enough space to get behind the pins and do that. And so that'll be there like so. Now we're going to bring over the cable. There's a long cable in your kit. That's red, white, blue, and black. And it's going to have a loose end, and this end should have a couple of cable ties on it. We're going to put the black wire. You're going to see here. There's going to be I'll turn it this way so you can read it. It's going to be ground, echo, trigger, and VCC, which is your supply voltage. And you're going to take the black wire, line it up with the ground, and plug it in that way. Just wiggle it down on there. And there you go. There is your finished head assembly. Very nice, very nice. We're going to set this aside, and we're going to keep these two screws handy. And now we're going to get the body. So you have the body. You should have some screws already installed in there, and some nuts on the outside. Just take those off. Yeah, just take those off, set those aside. You can keep those or use those. It's going to be for, the screws will be protruding. We might later on add some arms, add some accessories that can go on here. But for now, we're just going to remove those. And your screwdriver is going to go in at an angle. And just go ahead and undo those and pull those out. Again, keep those screws handy on the side. We're going to use those in short order here. Set those aside like so. You're going to turn this back over, and you're going to see, well, we're going to change the order of operations here, because I think getting the batteries in there will be, it'll be beneficial to have this flat as we're putting the batteries in there. So let's go get the batteries. All right, so here we have the battery pack, or the split battery pack. You have two AA's on each side of that. Full charge 1.5, right? But do you get 1.5 at any point? It'll be hovering just above 5 volts when you kick everything on, which is enough to run everything. And so yeah, I've been using AA 4-packs in robots for a long time, and they do well. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and turn this so that the wire is above. You're going to see there's an on here. So we want the on to be with the switch up, this is upside down, so the switch is facing down. We have this cable over the top of the other two wires. We're going to go ahead and install the battery pack by putting the screw through the right side over here, which is going to wind up on the top. So right side over here, wind up on the top. And we're going to do that same angle thing with the screwdriver. We're going to slide the screw around until it gets to the hole, and then angle. We're going to screw it in until it protrudes just about that much, about 3 millimeters on the back side of there, or 1/8 of an inch. Now, see, this is loose. We're going to do the same thing with the other side. So we'll turn it around this way so that we have an easier time of it. We're going to do the same trick with the screw, and again on the right side, which will wind up on top, and then we'll slide it around. So you can see there, I'm sliding it around till it gets to the hole, and then we start screwing it in at the angle there. We get about 1/8 of an inch out, or 3 millimeters. And then at this point we can add the hex nuts back on there, just to hold it on there. The screws won't back out because of this plastic. This plastic kind of closes around the screw, kind of like a nylon locking nut, and it holds it in there. But you can add these in here so you don't lose them for later, and just hand tighten those down, and you'll see how that looks. Very nice. Now all we have to do is having the orientation. I already have it in the on position, so that I know which orientation I will have it in. Just go ahead and push that through the hole at the back. So there's the hole at the back. I'll show you what that looks like from the inside. So again, I have it in the on position so that I know which way is up, and I just push it through like so. Okay, so there you have that set up, and now we get the washer and the nut that goes on there. I just wanted to show you this. So you'll see that this washer has teeth in it. That's the lock washer, and that's the nut that goes on there. So we're gonna have the teeth facing out, facing towards the nut. So we're gonna just hold the switch and keep it in this vertical position, as you can see. Slide that on there, and then you're just gonna put the nut on there and get it threaded. It might be a little tricky, trying to hold everything at the same time, but once you get it started, it goes. So there it is. Got started, and then again we're gonna just hand tighten that. That's enough, or you can again get the pliers, and you can use the pliers to tighten it. But hand tightening it works pretty well, and you can see that once you get that nut on there, the corner of that does not let it rotate. So you can give that a test. On, off. Very nice. All right, now we'll go on to adding the head. So now that we have that in there, we will go on to that. Okay, for this step, all we have to do is take the wires coming from the servo, not the wires coming from the sensor, but the wires coming from the servo, stick those through the square hole. Now tilt this forward so that the wires go through. Put that front edge in there, being careful not to apply too much pressure to this guy, but you'll see how that just kind of turns in there. Now we're going to take one of the pointy screws that we reserved from earlier. We're going to do the same trick. Put it through this hole in the servo, and making sure that it lines up with the hole in the body, and put that in there. It's pre-threaded, so it should be fairly easy. Do this one first, And then we can do the one in the front. Now you can move the head if it'll make positioning that easier. So you can see, same trick with the screw. Get it through that hole in the servo, lining it up with the hole in the body. So you can see there. And then just go ahead and tighten that one down as well. Not too tight, again, because we're dealing with plastic, metal screws. All right, so now we're gonna straighten the head out a little bit. You can see how that goes. Nice hair. You can see how that goes. And now one by one, we're gonna push the free ends of the wire through the hole at the top center of the body. So if you push them through one by one, there'll be plenty of space for them to go through. And one more. So now you're going to notice that once they're all the way through, you can pull them out this side to even them out. The cable tie that's on there should automatically stop it at the right spot. So you'll see that the head can move freely without pulling on the cable. Now, after you get used to how the robot moves, you can certainly move this so that you have more cable on the inside, or, you know, put one of these on the inside to keep the cable from pulling out. So, you know, you can experiment later. But this is what you're going to wind up with. You're going to wind up with one servo wire, sensor wires, and power. Okay, now it's time to put it all together. So we're going to take the top here and put it together with the chassis. So just turn that guy on his side there. There's a lot of ways that this one could have been done, but you know, I put a lot of the mechanical stuff together, and then I do this part. You could have certainly woven this through before, but you can see go corner, and then go corner again, and then you're gonna making sure that the red side, this is important, ground is on this side, red side is on this side. It's opposite over here, I know, or it's mirrored, but the connectors are can wind up in a different position. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn that around so that the ground is on the left side for this to connection. It's going to be the bottom two, or the rightmost two on there. Now it's, like I said, the opposite on that side. So just be careful. Red with black, or red with red, black with black. Red on this side, it's on the outside. I typically put all my grounds on the outside, but just like that. Now we're gonna do the same thing with the battery connector. Battery connector is gonna go again, black on the outside, red on the inside, and we're gonna plug into the open space there. Okay. We're gonna do same thing with the head servo. We're gonna use the first spot on this side here for the head servo, and that's because the head servo, we're treating that kind of like an add-on to the robot, and so we're gonna use one of the first spots on those columns there. And so now that we've got that connected, because we're powering, we want to power the ultrasonic with 5 volts. We're going to use the 5 volts that's on board your Arduino. Now in future projects, we're going to put the 5 volts down on the breadboard, and so that we can add other components. But for this initial setup, we're gonna simplify it, and we're going to use the 5 volts from the board. And so we're gonna go to where it says ground, and we're gonna plug in the black jumper into the ground. And we're going to take the red jumper and plug it into 5 volts. So let's take a moment there to take a look at that. I'll give you a second so that in case you have to pause that and take a look at what we've done, you can do that. All right, so what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and plug in the wheel servos. So we're gonna trace back, and if we get this wrong, we can fix it in the software, or we can go back in here and move their positions. But we're going to go ahead and plug in the left wheel servo into 11. Right wheel servo is going to go into 12. And then the head servo, as you can see coming from the head, is going to go into 10. And so now that we have that, the 2 remaining wires from the ultrasonic, one is the echo and one is the trigger. And you'll see in the software which one is which, and you can trace them back to here. You can see that the blue is the trigger and white is the echo. But for our purposes here, so that this is the same across everywhere, if you plug these in the way that we're going to plug them in now, you'll be able to use the sketches as they are when you download them from the website. So we're going to put echo into 8, the white cable, or echo into 8, and then we're going to go blue with the trigger into pin 7. Now with that, everything is complete except for adding and now you can adjust this, so you can push on this side and pull it on this side, so that this gets closer to there. You can even fold it over a little bit, it'll be okay. Now you being careful to move all the wires towards the center and not pinching any wires, you will see that it is done. All right, next we'll put the batteries in there and turn it on to see if it powers on. Of course it will. Of course it will. But there you are. All right, we've got a set of fresh batteries. So make sure it's off. Down, push down. It's off. If you've put the orientation of the switch in the correct orientation, it'll be off. Down. So what you're going to do now is, so you'll be able to tilt this side to side to get the batteries in there. But you're going to see one side's got springs, the other side has a flat contact on there inside the battery case. So you're just going to slide these with on the spring side, push it down, and make sure it clicks all the way into there. They're going to be opposite each other, so if they're both facing the same direction, it's wrong. So now we'll flip it back over this way, and we'll do the same on the other side. So spring to the back of the battery, boom, spring to the back of the battery, both facing away from each other. And I have, I did what I told you not to do. I have the switch the other way around. Here, we'll fix it. Okay, up, on. Okay, cool. All right, now we're going to go ahead and close her up, doing the same process, making sure all the cables are free and towards the middle. Nothing's pinched. All right. Very cool. All right, so that's what you should see. You'll see the power on indicator through there, and hasn't been programmed yet, so kind of has the jitters. Once you program it, it'll actually start up a little bit differently. But since we have nothing running on the Arduino, that's a bit of noise as the Arduino's booting up there, causes it to have random movement. But go check out the programming video to see how to program this guy. Now, depending on when you got yours, there may or may not already be a cable in there. For this particular flavor of Arduino, it's actually a mini plug, but those are easy to get anywhere online. Thanks for watching.